All right, yellow. Yellow. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Do people hear me? If you can hear me, I'm gonna go get some soda real quick. Give me 2 seconds. 2 more seconds. I'll go top off my drink, and then we'll be right back. We'll get into things, okay? Give me 2 seconds. Check, mic check. Hold on. Hello, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Oh dear. Hold on. Mic check. Whoa. Oh dear. Have we been muted this whole time? Oh shit. I think. Hold on. Let me check. Here's my shorts. Mic check. Muted this whole time. Okay. Oh shit. That's working good. Okay, now here's my horizontal stream. Hello, mic check. Here's my shorts. All right, we're good there. So then what the hell is the dealio when we swap over to here? Hey, 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 I'm trying to talk to you. Hey. All right, it's working. All right, it's working. Jeez, I was freaking. Again, my microphone, I move it slightly, and then sometimes I look at the buffer thing down here, because I have a little like my little mixer thing just to make sure the audio is coming through. Like sometimes when it's not coming through, I panic just a little bit. No, but all right, enough yapping. I'm glad you guys are here. Let's get into this. This is going to be my official reaction, where we can talk for the next half hour, next hour, and I'm gonna go over some scenes. I'm gonna go over my thoughts and reactions to the movie. I'm gonna go over some things that I predicted that were right, some things that I predicted that were wrong, and changes. Like if I were to have directed this film, here is what I would have changed, and here are some of the differences that I would have made. I'm going to go over that. I'm going to do that because, again, that's what we've done in the past when we've talked about movies and done movie reviews. I mean, shit, we've made 3-hour streams out of 2-minute trailers. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. Like we've done that before. We've been there. We've done that. So let's get into it. So the first thing that pissed me off personally, that I was super disappointed with, and again, with how it might be cropped, people on the shorts end, if you don't like how the proportions are, hop over to the horizontal stream where you can see the full screen and you can see what I can see. Um, but one of the things that got me at the very beginning was the opening montage. And it's something that people were talking about, and it's something that everybody's been like, "Oh my gosh, this is one of the best opening montages in a Spider-Man film. It's the best one." And it's like, "All right, all right. Yes, it's one of the better ones. It's one of the best ones." Still to like this day, and this is my own personal opinion, as much flack and as much shit as we give to TASM 2, it had the best opening scene. Like after it goes down, screen goes to black, and then all of a sudden you just hear the horns, and like he's just free falling, and you see the Spider-Man logo, and like the screen widens out, and he's like free falling. That's badass. That is the best opening. Like that's the best. That's the best opening scene to a Spider film, and that I've seen recently. Because I mean, this opening scene, there were a lot of good moments. Um, the the movie technically speaking, it opens with him sewing. Technically speaking, like if we're but like opening montage of opening montage. This one, it's up there. It's up there. I would say it's probably second best or third best. I'd have to rewatch Spider-Man 2 because truthfully, there are a couple things like it's been a minute since I've seen some of those Spider-Man films. Um, but one thing that I predicted, where I kind of like hung my hat on it, where it's like I effing knew it, is these scenes. What a freaking waste, and I mean to say that respectfully, because with the pacing of how this film went, a lot of the pacing was and then, and then, and then. Like when we go into the second act, you can tell when it goes to the second. When it's going to the third act, you can tell it's going to the third act. Like, and funny enough, what kind of sets the tone for K? Without somebody coming across the screen going, "This is Act 2, this is Act 3." It's literally the establishing shot of Spider-Man swinging in. Whether he's swinging into the armed defense building when it's on fire, or he's swinging into the one place to go, like when he's on the phone with Frank trying to be like, we gotta go save Jean or whatever. Like, those are the opening, like, those are the setting scenes where it's like, hey, if you couldn't tell, this is Act 2, this is Act 3. Like, so from that point, like, pacing wise, I think it was super kind of like, oh, okay. But other than that, I still liked the film. But to go back to my prediction on just with the pacing of where this film was, is you could have literally, I have held it on screen for this stream longer than these guys were on screen in the whole freaking movie, which I feel like was kind of a waste. Don't get me wrong, I think all the shots were super cool. I will admit the one that I'm missing, because I couldn't get one that was super clear, but there are a couple blurry photos later on in the presentation. You'll see the one with battering ram when he's like putting his head into the wall. I couldn't find one of that, but I think, you know, if you had a montage like Into the Spider-Verse where it's like, all right, let's do this one more time. Like, I kind of joked and I said that that's what it would be, because you can see in the trailer when he's holding the key to the city, and you can see some of these establishing shots where it's like, okay, this is like, I could see them going through a montage of, hey, this is where I've been for the last 4 or 5 years. And that is exactly what it was. And then it did not touch up on it at all later. And that, to me, was kind of disappointing, where you could have had an opening montage of him fighting some guys, and that could have been like the first 15 minutes of the film. Because what I do think was pretty good pacing wise is they got right into it, of Spidey can sense through, you know, his Peter tingle that, hey, something's up. And like the body snatching and jumping from subject to subject to subject with Jean Grey, that happens right away. There's no easing into it like from the opening, like the opening tank scene. That's the thing that you notice. And ow, I just poked myself with my freaking ow. As I'm trying to jump over here and get a sweet real quick. So that's the opening thing that I noticed. We also might as well talk about it now. The music, and like there's some things where I'm like, you know what? The music soundtrack that's in Spider-Man with Tobey's, and then the music that's in Andrews, it's like, because there was, you know, there was the Steve Lacy song, there's a Bad Bunny song, there was the TV on the radio song, like there was you know, Whitney Houston's "I'm Every Woman," which was so funny because it's like, I'll help you, Spidey. He's like, no, 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 no. Like there's parts of me, and I was kind of joking with my sister that it's like, it's kind of fitting because I could see this version of Spider-Man listening to this kind of music, and it kind of like fits that, where it's like, yeah, I could see this Peter Parker busting a little bit of Bad Bunny out. So, which we'll talk about the organic webs and stuff. I like how they made it. What's the word? What's the term? Cohesive. I want to use the word cohesive, but like how it showed, like, oh no, his spider DNA is not allowing for the web shooters, like how they would not run congruent to each. Like, I liked that. Like, I think that was kind of clever. But again, with the first 15-ish minutes, because the opening montage is about 2 minutes, and Wolf Like Me by TV on the Radio is playing during that montage. Perfectly fitting song. I think it's a good song, and like that song's kind of grown on me. And it just kind of, I don't know, it's a good opening to a song. There's a lot of swinging scenes in this. But what kind of disappointed me is, if you wanted to, like, they did the perfect thing from making it a montage, but just with how quick the montage was, and like a whole year had passed, or just some time had passed, but with like how quickly the scenes were, where jump, 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 where, oh, we're in the winter, now we're in the spring, now we're in the winter again. It's like there's no time for breathing a little bit. And before long, you realize, oh, that whole 2 minute montage covered the space of 5 years, and it's like, eh, yeah, because it was just, it was quick. But like, if you wanted to pace some things out, and you wanted to make this kind of like a bounty hunter type thing, where you keep it ground level, friendly neighbor style, because I saw some complaints with the cop and him talking to DeWolf, and her kind of being a reoccurring character. I heard people talk about how like that was a complaint where it's like Spidey's not actually working on his own. He's always looking for help or whatever, and it's like in all the other Spider-Mans, he's always talked to the cops. So I had no problem with that. But like you could literally you could have an establishing shot of like, all right, Spidey, we need your help getting some of these guys, and like for the first 15ish minutes, okay, let's go get Tombstone. Okay, let's go get Boomerang. Okay, let's go get Scorpion. Okay, let's go get Tarantula. And you can extend these scenes out a little bit longer, and then when he's fighting, like for example, the Scorpion in like the last little 1v1, instead of it being a montage, you can have a situation where, oh boom, Jean Grey's like mind possessing him and stuff, and then it can get into, okay, here's the tank, and then you can roll from there. Because I think when it covered the previous 5 years, it just covered it so quick, and it's like I don't know, there's some things that you could have done with this kind of scene, and you could have extended it a little longer, because I don't know, that's just my opinion. Like this, like the fact that I was wrong on my prediction. I said that this scene would be a lot more cooler. Um, nope, this was what it was. It was literally him against the Hand, and it was just this shot. There's nobody like the Hulk flying in from the bottom or the Punisher. Nope, just him. And like the fact that, I will admit, when the Hand came back, I was kind of like, okay, good. But like the fact that like it says it through the montage, like, he arrested the Hand, and I was like, really? Off screen. We're gonna have this cool establishing shot in the trailer, and then it's something that's dealt off screen, and we're not gonna talk about it. It's like lame. That is lazy storytelling from my point of view. My point of view, but they did make up for it because they eventually came back, which we'll get to. But like they did that one establishing shot, and that was it. And it was in this whole montage. And it's like, frick. And he's like, crime is dropped, and he's arrested everybody. This is also in that establishing shot of him fighting the Scorpion. I'd have been fine with him fighting the Scorpion one more time or two more times, because there's kind of like this can be a movie where it's like, okay, we lock up the bad guys, but then they got out, like Gotham or something, where it's like, somehow the Penguin escaped again. We'll come back to this. I liked this scene. You missed me, Spidey. It's a good one. All right, but this is the opening. This is the opening establishing shot. Where he's looking at his phone, he's missing, and that's the other thing too that kind of like tells the passage of time, is Ned's haircut and like his facial hair, which I did think that was kind of funny. Whereas like, yo, we just got into MIT, and then by the end, because it shows him in the background talking, I was like, man, these 4 years went by so quick. Like the legendary lunch fight, or blah blah this, blah blah that, and like it shows Peter getting into his apartment, and like that whole montage ends with like a spider web up in the corner, and like a spider crawling. Like I thought that little touch was kind of cool. But like he checks up on Ned's profile like here and there, and it kind of shows the passage of time, but like not really, because it's like, okay, you slap you trim a haircut here and there, you slap a beard on to show the passage of time, but it didn't feel like a passage of time. Versus when it showed clips from No Way Home and some of the flashbacks to now, and it's like, whoa, yeah, Tom Holland, literally, they have all grown up, which, yeah, they're 4 years older, 5 years older since the previous movie. But yeah, this was the opening establishing shot, which was super cool. Like to just show them upside down, hanging around. Um, we'll get there. We'll get there. Anything else to say about this scene? I think I have it somewhere down. Oh, I have it down here. Okay, we'll move it right here. This scene happens later because there are two scenes that look like they like. Believe it or not, these scenes are not simultaneously. They happen different. Like there's different drop points. Column drop, just because he drops in, and he's swinging around. One of them is when he tries to go stop the tank, and the other one is to start the movie. I believe this one is the one that starts the movie with the opening montage. Um, but the one where this one, oh my freaking gosh, because like I like when you have all the music and the score building up, and then it just goes silent, and then you can just kind of hear the wind, like and then it like zooms in on the face, and you can hear the wind just flapping by. Personally, what I would have done is I would have held the scene just a little bit longer because like you could feel it, and it's kind of cool. Like I got some goosebumps when like he jumped, and like it held the scene for like 2 seconds. Hold the scene a little longer, yeah, it would have been a lot cooler. But so the opening scene happens. There's the body snatcher effect. The tank gets away. Scorpion gets away because Jean Grey jumped to it. The other thing that I will say, and it is a little nitpick, is we knew it was Jean Grey from the beginning because like the trailers didn't hide anything, and like I don't know how to explain, but like the trailers, you you could tell what was up. All right, let's get to this scene. Hey, a lot of people were talking about this scene and how they're like, oh, there's no purpose of. Um, I'll be real, it wasn't too distracting. Like I thought it was funny as hell. I thought it was funny as hell that like he's talking to Yelena and then all of a sudden his feet pop up and stuff. But like there's parts of me where it's like you can take the MCU out of Marvel, but you can't take Marvel out of the MCU or something like that in the ways of like I can see how it's very you can't let you can't let the male antagonist, you can't let the male hero be the male hero. He's got to be talked down to by a woman lead or something like that because I've heard that argument before, which is like, okay, I can get that. But like because they looked at like Yelena being in this is just an insert for, hey, by the way, did you watch Thunderbolts? Hey, by the way, do you know that we have a new Avengers group called the New Avengers? Hey, did you know Yelena's the new, like she's the new Iron Man. She's the new leader. Hey, did you know that? And like I could see that that is what that insert is. But listening and focusing more on the dialogue of um like Peter's like, hey, do you know if it's any like sorcery? Could it be anything of like what they were doing with the widows in the black room? And like how she's quickly like, nope, and stuff. And she's like, well, I don't know. I don't know. This is very small potatoes of what you deal with. I deal with big potatoes. Like I thought it was kind of funny. Like the jokes were kind of funny, and I didn't look at it from the approach of like, oh, we got a emasculated character here and tear him down. Like I think it was funny. I think it was funny. Could that I leaned over to my sister and just made a joke because of course all these actors are have been in the same films and stuff, and it's like knowing because it's Florence Pugh's character and she is in Oppenheimer and there's that weird sex scene in Oppenheimer, and it's like if I was Spidey, I wouldn't have hopped in the pool. You ain't missing out on much. Now, if it was like Haley Atwell or something, it's like woo as you're dipping in because people have made jokes about like they're like, why the hell didn't Steve return the stones? And then it would show like Haley Atwell at the red carpet looking fine as hell, and it's like I don't blame them. But anyways, just the comedic timing of the feet, I thought was pretty funny because it's like that's the other thing too is like Tom Holland's Spider-Man does have his funny quirks. Like I feel like his Spider-Man and Andrew's are a lot more funnier than Toby's. Toby's feels like super serious. Um, but yeah, this scene didn't detract me too much from the movie where it's like, oh my gosh, I freaking hate this movie. What a waste of time. Because I find it hilarious that we have, and this just proves that what's the term I'm looking for? That the audience member, the customer, the true fan, it shows that we're winning, quote unquote. And why I say that is because people talk about, oh, there's Marvel fatigue, there's superhero movie fatigue, like people this and that, and it's like, no, there's just shit movie fatigue. And like I find it hilarious that people like I'll admit, I thought this was only gonna make like 1.5, 1.6 million dollars. This has made 2 billion and it's growing still. Like I think that's funny. And I think it's funny that whatever the hell Supergirl did in its box office bomb, literally a month later, 2 months later, this comes out and just shatters the shit out of it. Like the fact that Supergirl and Superman combined didn't even hold a light to what Spider-Man made in its opening night, I find fucking hilarious because it just shows like if you respect the fan and like make an actual decent film. Because here's the thing too, I thought this was a decent film, and if I'm going to compare it to uh, Corn Sweat and James Gunn's Superman, this movie is better, like much better. Like I think Corn Sweat has the charm to be a good Superman, but like the writing behind it is awful. And I mean, I think they did Henry Cavill a little dirty, but that's just me because like to me, Henry Cavill is my Superman and Christian Bale's my Batman and Heath Ledger's my Joker. Like it's a pretty high bar to reach. And yeah, what else? Like I mean, I'm not like Affleck, definitely like the if you want to do like the bulky Batman look, super comic book accurate, like looked like Batman in the suit. But I mean, it's just with Nolan in general, like you kind of just go, okay, who's second best? Because literally Nolan has the best Bane, the best Joker, the best Scarecrow, the best Batman. Um, do I think Sebastian Stan could potentially be the best Two Face? Yeah, I think he could. Could Christopher Nolan have made the best Riddler if, he put the Riddler anywhere in those movies? Yeah, probably. But so far that is owned by Reeves. Um, I do like Robert Pattinson's Batman. Because again, it's like wasn't around, wasn't alive during Michael Keaton's or Val Kilmer's, because those were like late 80s, early 90s. And so it's like, hey, when you're 10 or whatever, whenever Dark Knight comes out, it's like, hey, that's my Batman right there. But yeah, yeah. I find it hilarious that this Spider-Man blew all those records. You know, sorry if you can't tell, I'm coming down with something. Um, I think it's funny that it set all those records, blew everything out of the water, and it's like everybody's like, "Oh shit, maybe superhero movies are still back." And it's like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, we like them." Like we like decent movies. Is it hard to ask for a decent movie? Compelling stories with a heroic figure that is relatable, goes through a normal hero's journey, doesn't talk down to the audience or try to preach to the audience. What else? There's like just the basics of the basics. You know? Sorry, I wipe my face. I'm gonna be taking a lot of drinks too, just because freaking I gotta keep my voice box good. So hopefully it doesn't get too distracting with me taking swigs. Um, so we've gone through about the first act ish. I thought it was kind of funny too, and I liked it, and it kind of felt like a video game in a way of he's in his Spider-Man suit a lot. Um, and he's just walking around in broad daylight in the Spider-Man suit, like he goes to the Department of Defense place, which I knew from the jump. I knew from the jump that that dude was bad. I talked about it in the trailer, where I was like, this trailer is very misleading in the way of like this guy could be posed as a bad guy when like we know, okay, Sadie Sink's character is probably the bad guy, you know, quote unquote. Oh, we'll get there. But you just when you compare box office numbers, you know what? I think I also know it outperformed. I know for a fact it outperformed the Odyssey, but now combining the Odyssey, Supergirl, Obsession, and the Backrooms, I don't I don't think it I don't think it did that. But because like I saw somewhere and I heard through the grapevine, through nerd culture and stuff that Spider-Man Brand New Days opening weekend, and maybe that what the stat was, is it did so well, and considering the records that it has broken, it is very easy to make that comparison, that it did do better than um Obsession, Backrooms, He-Man, Supergirl. I feel like I'm missing one more. What was the other movie that came out this year? And I'm not talking like Iron Lung or Project Hail Mary. Um, and the Odyssey. Like they talked, or maybe it's Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Yes, that one. Where all those five movies combined, minus the Odyssey, it's like Spider-Man did better than all five of those combined in the opening weekend, and it's like, yeah, that's what happens. And truthfully, too, Obsession, Project Hail Mary, like they freaking. I don't think they beat Disney, but like they took their lunch by making a better movie. Because I didn't. I don't know people who went and saw Mandalorian and Grogu. I know I didn't. I was like, I'm good. I'm a little busy right now. Maybe later, but I never eventually got to it. Okay, let's get into, because we got this and we got this and we got one more down here. Oh wait. Yes, we'll get into it. Okay, all right. Now, so there's the party. Oh yeah, the Tame Impala song too. I definitely think this Peter Parker would listen to Tame Impala. Definitely. Because again, I think the music fit the movie. Like it did. It surprisingly really well. Um Now, um so he's doing his dailies or weeklies, because again, like he goes to the flower shop, like, and I can't tell, is this a daily thing he does, is this like a weekly or monthly thing he does, because like the montage, like it goes through the montage, but then it like breaks into the montage of showing like him going through the process. And well, when he's out and about, he sees Ned, and then he's chewing down on his sub or whatever, he's still on the phone with the cop, the commissioner, and then he's like, hey, I'll call you back. And then like he ends up following Ned. And then he shows up to the party, and then he sees which I laughed because I thought it was super funny, and it was very, like, I think these kind of payoffs in movies, especially when you've been now 4 movies deep into the series, like the payoff of Ned being like, so I've tried to track it down to these two people, and they flips it up, and it's Flash and then the teacher. Like, I think that shit's hilarious. Like that kind of comedy and joke payoff from like if I'm being honest, you don't get a payoff like that in Fantastic Four. There's no payoff humor like that in Fantastic Four, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight. Like if they try to pay off and make jokes and crack wise ones in Doomsday, it's gonna fall flat. Versus it just being said offhanded, and it's funny as shit because it's like, look, we know they're not Spider-Man, but like considering that Ned has forgotten who Peter is and doesn't know Spider-Man's identity, it makes sense, which makes it even funnier when he flips it up and just the comedic timing of, and I trace it down to these two people, and it's like, okay, sure. So I thought that was funny. Going into it though, he then sees MJ. Then he gives like this weird, like Maynard or something, like a weird name. And like I immediately thought of Megamind. He's like, "What's your name?" Then he's like, "Bernard." Then he's like, "Okay, Bernard," or something, which I thought was funny. He immediately, um, and then from there, like he sees MJ kiss, her boyfriend, and then he's like shutting down. They have the scene where he's running on the rooftop. It's raining. Let me pull it up because it's in the trailer. And I actually, wow, this trailer came out 2 months ago. Shit. Let me get a swig real quick. Oh, I just got an ad for Botox. Guys, do you think I need to get my lips filled? I think I do. Right here. All right. Right. Okay. Plus. Okay. Bum. Bum 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 bum. I'm a loser, baby. I'm a loser, baby. So why don't you kill me? All right. So with this scene and the swinging scene, I do think it was definitely impactful because it showed a lot of flashbacks. I don't know if I said it earlier in the stream, but some of the emotional beats that landed the first time I saw this did not hit the second time, and this is one of the examples because like watching this the first time watching this scene, it's like, yeah, real, super real. Like, yeah, nope, felt that before, and then watching it the second time, I'm like, okay, it doesn't hit the same. Um, but it's like, yeah, how many times have you gone to a party and seen an old friend, and then like they're ignoring you or something, and you kind of like get in your own feels or whatever? Yeah, been there, done that, and so like some of those scenes were very like, oh damn, because yeah, literally he's got to just kind of watch his friends just kind of live life without him, forget all about him. Now this is what triggered his arachnid hormones. They called it something. Um, Now I think with because it's kind of funny where of all the things that has happened in Peter's life until this point, seeing his ex-girlfriend kiss another dude, that's what spikes it. Not him, having to save the universe however many times, getting punched by Thanos, watching his aunt blow up. Um, gosh, watching Tony Stark die. Nope, none of that. His girlfriend, kissing another dude. That's what triggered him. I don't know. I don't know. But the concept, I will admit, the concept is cool. Now, where I think where I would have made a little bit of a difference and a little bit of a tweak, because again, there were a whole bunch of other things that could have triggered, like his arachnid DNA coming out and being more prevalent, because that is a point in the film, and that's a MacGuffin that follows through of like how he stabilizes his arachnid emotions, because And I did like the point, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but how later in the film when Jean Grey is like, you should honestly write a letter to yourself because you're forgetting who you are. Like, boom, that because I think like if they took the step and the approach, and it's something that I kind of predicted, and it's what I would have done, is Man Spider, have him start to deform a little bit in the ways of like we've pulled up the image. We've pulled up the image before, and we've looked at it before in the context. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh yeah, where he just kind of turns into a monster and he gets deformed a little bit. There is the cartoon. Now, a lot of people, myself included, thought that this is what was going to happen. Like I remember watching, yeah, right here, like the '90s. Like there's the '90s cartoon where he had like extra arms and extra ligaments. Um, I think, I think it would have definitely been interesting, and you could have done something cool in this, and what would have made it gripping. That's a very interesting Dervin word to use, but have him after his arachnid senses get triggered with MJ, get into those nightmare scenarios, get into those, and whether you do it through the technicality of switching the lens, so there's like a different lens filter, you can switch up the aspect ratio. Like these are like stupid lame. Like okay, your budget's $0. You could do different sequences. Um, for example, freaking no, where hold on, where the hell um oh I just dude I'm thinking of this off the dome. Let me do okay, where the frick is um okay, this is what oh here we go, 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 here we go. All right, so this is just my brain. I just came up with this off the dome. But like so when it shows here, let's do his eyes. So in the movie, there's a handful of scenes where it shows his eyes change. They go into this red and black tint. Okay? So I'm thinking of like night vision, but like with a red lens. Okay? So like underneath a sub or something. Like I'm trying to get like the visualization of like you could have a scene where it shows him looking like this, or like you see a point of view like this, and like you could do like a rush effect where the sides are like going like super fast or something, where it's like super blurry, and like things are like stretching and stuff because like his spidey senses are peaked. What's the also the right a little bit not this, not this. Where it's when he has his spidey sense against Doctor Doom. No, not Doctor Doom. Doctor Strange. Right here. Okay, and you know how he's like in a. It edits the. Okay, so see how there's like this soft touch glow around him. You could do the glow sort of like around the sides on the edges of the screen and the shot, but you could have that red tint to know okay, like he's seeing shit. And then you could do and what this could establish is okay, this red light night vision type view when you're looking and seeing this, that's through the eyes and the point of view of boom, him when he's mutated into Man Spider. Okay. when he's going through his mutations. And what we think, and what like he thinks, because again, he thinks, and I think this could be a cool reveal at the very end, is he thinks he's dreaming it because he thinks it's a nightmare. Because at first he just passes out. Like it shows him passing out and falling asleep after right here, because he swings. There's the orchestral music piece that was really good with it, but it shows him passing out, and then you could have, because it goes into a flashback scene. Because I liked when it did that. Like it did a couple flashback scenes. But then you have this where it just kind of like goes from black screen to like zoom in to kind of like red scene with the like the tint to kind of like establish, and like it's like a first person view to establish, okay, this is what he's seeing. And then you can have an establishing shot of like him jumping around and stuff, already mutated as the man spider. And like how it's edited, it feels like a dream and it feels like a nightmare. But then when he comes to it and he comes out of it later, he has no recollection of it. And like, oh, okay, that was a weird ass dream. But then later down the line and stuff, because you have it happen a handful of times throughout, and then come back to it here, and that's what this scene could be, is after he catches Scorpion's, tail, and you see his eyes freak out, you can watch him morph in real time, and then you realize, well, unless you need to be spoon-fed it a little more, oh shit, all these times, because you'll have the nightmare sequence like 2 or 3 more times, maybe 2 to play it safe, to keep the pacing rolling along. But like the first time could be is just him swinging or climbing or sprinting through the city, and then people just being scared. People just being scared shitless and running from him. Or you could have the cops turn on him and start to like open fire. And then after he's been shot a couple times in that like first person view, like it just kind of like it blinks as if he's blinking, and then just goes black. And then he wakes up in the morning, but like he doesn't see any bullet holes because it's like, oh, he got shot in one of the extra arms, or something like that. But you have these situations where when his arachnid DNA spikes, he has the dream, nightmare vision sequences, but then when it comes to there after he's facing Scorpion right here, boom, that's the realization that you realize, oh, it wasn't a dream. It was actually him losing and being caught in the subconscious. Because there's themes of like fighting monsters, with the Hulk and stuff, and who's the other one? Like the Hulk has an alter ego. Spider-Man sort of has an alter ego a little bit. Like you could have that sequence. Like I think that payoff would have been a whole lot cooler. But it was really simple. It wasn't. They did not explore into that at all. They stayed far, far away from it. I would have dived right into it. I said, I thought they weren't brave enough to do it, and they weren't. Would they have done that maybe in peak MCU? Probably. If they wanted to rush Tom Holland's Peter Parker arc, they could have done something like that, but they decided to stay away. All right. Let's get into the Punisher being in this film. I liked it. I thought it was actually pretty fine. I thought what I kind of liked is I liked the bickering between both of them and how they keep bringing up Staten Island. I thought that was kind of funny. Where he takes MJ back and like they're talking about Staten Island. Then he's like, "You tell me, like, am I, does this count?" And like they're going back and forth, and then they just stop because they're both interrupting each other. Then he's like, "Anybody want chili?" I thought that was kind of funny. With how, because his opening shot is him running Spider-Man over, and then Spider-Man does a swing, like he kicks him out of the vehicle. Um, and it like to me, I like how like them joking about like Staten Island and stuff. Like I like how that's like you don't need to spoon feed like, hey, do you remember and like show establishing shots of how they met. Like the relationship's already there. I liked that aspect. And I don't think he took up too much screen time, and I don't think he distracted. If you know, when you want to look at two sides of the maybe the same coin, people look at Elena's character being in this, and you know the whole "Welcome to my office" scene. People look at this scene as a distraction, and it's like, oh, why'd she need to be in the movie and come back because she was shown one more time after that, like when they're on the FaceTime through the scope thing, and she's like, "Oh, the lonely man has friends." I thought that was kind of funny. Um, but people say her character doesn't need to be in this film versus the Punisher's character, where it's like it's not a distraction. I don't know. I don't know. His character does have a little bit more responsibility in regards to I mean his little hideout is where MJ hangs out for a little chunk of the movie. I know I have all these sequences like way, way, way out of order. Um, but I thought his character was fine. Which when we get to there is and it is the end, and I will warn you guys about the spoilers when it does happen. There's something that I think they could have done with his character, and this is just my own personal, again, kind of like with the man spider approach. It's something I would have done in regards to leaving on a cliffhanger, but we will get there. All right, the Hulk being in this movie, I liked how like and with just because I've forgotten. I'll be honest. Yeah, Universal. I think Universal still does own um majority of the Hulk stakes, but he can still be in Marvel movies, which means he can still be in Disney movies. But the primary shareholder is kind of like Sony, how Marvel and Sony share Spider-Man, Universal and Marvel share Spider-Man. And like there's parts of me, and I have said it, the Hulk needs to have a freaking movie. The Hulk has needed a solo movie sometime after Ragnarok to now. There should have been a Hulk movie. There should have been a Planet Hulk movie somewhere. Whether you go in 2018, because in the fall of 2018, I don't believe there was a Marvel movie in the fall of 2018. Like, but if you have Black Panther that February, Infinity War in April, Ant-Man and the Wasp in July, which that's crazy. 3 Marvel movies in 1 year is crazy. Now in the fall there was Dark Phoenix, or maybe that's 2019. But in the fall of 2018, what did you have around Christmas time? Into the freaking Spider-Verse. So it's like you have 4 superhero movies in just one calendar year. Like we were eating good back then. And like there was no talk of superhero fatigue back then. Like because films were actually decent at the time. And like they were well thought out, they were well constructed versus nowadays where it's like shit, just throw whatever on the wall and see what sticks. Um, but kind of from my approach of you should have done the Black Widow, you should have done the Black Widow movie before Civil War or right after Civil War, but before Homecoming. You should have done the World War Hulk or the Planet Hulk movie. You should have done it right after Ragnarok. And what would it have been about? It would have been about him being a gladiator. And I'm not the first person to think this. Like it's been talked about and it's been theorized, but like you could have that be literally from him leaving um was it Sokovia, like in Avengers Age of Ultron, like him leaving Earth and like everything that transpired through Civil War and like him being away from the Avengers. That is where that movie should have taken place, whether it showed after Infinity War or before Infinity War. It could have been a prequel or a sequel to. It would have had to be a prequel to Ragnarok because of how Ragnarok ends. But they should have freaking made that movie, and they never did. And if they make a Hulk movie now, I'm not even freaking interested because they're gonna butcher his character because it's like look at what Sony and like this proves that like on the inside, this proves the difference between storytelling. Um, sorry, I just had to make sure that my audio was still good. This shows the storytelling, um, and how Sony would have dealt with Hulk versus Disney, Marvel, because you look at all the projects. Like I thought Smart Hulk was fine, in Endgame. I didn't have a problem with it, but like from there, like super nerfed. But then like you look and see Savage Hulk, it's like, dude, we haven't seen this freaking version of the Hulk in how long? Like it's been a freaking minute. And so I thought that was cool. Um and that's not to say that Smart Hulk wasn't fun, but like it literally showed the difference because he gets into the building and like Smart Hulk is there talking to him. And he's like, "You're not gonna stop," and then he's like, "No, but he might," And like you can see, but then he gets back to Bruce Banner, but then he grows into Savage Hulk, and he just gets that much bigger and that much angrier. Like it shows how much like they've just failed. That's all I can think of is just freaking they took his character and just ran him through the shitter because like the way he's dealt with in She-Hulk is just bullshit, and you know it is. Um, which I haven't even wasted my time watching it, but just seeing clips and watching people's reaction, it's like yeah, it's totally like it's the freaking Hulk. Not only is it the freaking Hulk, it's the fucking Hulk. Like Hulk, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Ghost Rider, Mr. Fantastic. I'm trying to think. Like this was bread and butter for Stan Lee in Stan Lee's heyday. Where it's like, dude, the Hulk is literally one of the best fucking superheroes out there. But no, he's just got to throw rocks around and do yoga and all that shit. And it's like, oh my gosh. Which lovely how they continued any story plot from She-Hulk. Yeah, no. Which the jokes of of Doctor Doom, like because they've joked about how if they did another Deadpool movie, it should be about him just wiping out everybody from Phase 4, um, or Doctor Doom just wiping out everybody from Phase 4. Um, but no, just freaking you don't making a Hulk movie should not be hard. Making a Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, like making the staple of staple movies should not be hard. Could an Iron Man movie be hard and difficult? Yeah, here and there if you're not being smart. A Blade movie. That's the other thing that's pissed me off too. Blade could have been in this movie. It would have been interesting. Blade versus the Hand. That's an interesting aspect. But it's like just like with the casting of Emily Blunt and John Krasinski for Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic back in that whole 2018, 2017 era right after Thor Ragnarok is like they literally could have made these movies, but they chose not to. And like that's where after seeing this Hulk, because this version of Hulk and like watching him like evolve into the Hulk, and he's like, no girl, it's not the girl, no Banner, no girl, you know, only Hulk, and like he just then turns into Savage Hulk. Badass, like that is a badass scene. The way like it shows like Spider-Man like webbing, webbing the Hulk, and then webbing the Punisher, and there's that like slow motion of them like rotating around in the room. That's a cool scene. Him grabbing the shocker thing to try to punch Hulk, but then Hulk countering. Super cool. Like there are so many cool scenes, and it just shows. Oh, the Hulk clap. That was fun. It just shows that they could have made a Hulk movie, but and it's like notice how like and you can compare it to the Thunderbolts and you can compare it to Fantastic Four. Any other previous Marvel movie? But it's like notice how when it's not just Disney Marvel, but like you have other implications like other studios involved like Fox, even though Fox doesn't exist with, the X-Men. Notice how Deadpool and Wolverine, fantastic movie, made $1 billion. It was fine. It was a love letter to the fans. But then, once you get rid of that and it's just strictly Disney Marvel, it's like crap, crap, mega crap. But then when you get to Sony Marvel and you make a Spider-Man film, like the reverence behind it, it's like, okay, you made a decent film again, and it's like this movie kicked Fantastic Four's ass and the Thunderbolts' ass, and night and day, took their lunch money, and the numbers like Thunderbolts didn't compare, and Fantastic Four didn't compare because nobody gives a crap. Anyways, that's just my opinion. All right, moving on. Oh, this freaking scene. I hated this scene. Real. Now this scene. All right. I liked what they did with this scene in the way of um messing with his brain, and like to this point Jean Grey had already taken over. um and like how she was like, I gotta know, like, who are you, and then she kisses him and stuff. Like that is such a mental twist on how she's like, go ahead, Peter, kiss her. And it's like, oh my. Because it's like, you don't expect that. And it's like, oh, that was a great. And of course, it gets you in the emotions and it gets you in the feels because it's like, oh, yay, she remembers. But then it's like, nope, rug pull. I liked that. Now, I had said in the past that with just modern day writing and stuff of the MCU, and you gotta continue to emasculate the hero. The hero can't have a love interest, blah, 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 yada, yada. I went, like, that's how I looked at this scene because I knew of a couple spoilers. Um, I didn't know he kissed MJ. I did not know that. I thought it was just going to be a she doesn't remember him, so she doesn't love him kind of thing. But like with how the movie ended, like, are they going to end up back together? Yes, they are. Like you can see it in the ending shot. Spoiler, which spoiler, but like there's parts of me where it's like I like the direction that they went, where like the consequences of Doctor Strange, the consequences of the spell, like I liked how it lasted through the movie instead of, okay, the spell happened, but like let's just retcon everything in the next movie and have him and MJ are back together, and him and Ned are good buddies and his friends can remember him. Like it kind of, like, the choices that he made in the third, like it wouldn't have mattered in the fourth if it didn't stay to that. So from that point of view, I liked that. I liked how they didn't get back together. I liked it from that point of view of like showing, no, the stakes mattered in the third one. Um, it also opens up the avenue for them to, in the fifth one, if they choose to. It opens up the avenues for him having a love interest with a Gwen Stacy character, Black Cat. He can turn into a little bit of a diva and be a little bit of a playboy. Because, hello, that's what one of Spider-Man features is. Now, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, personally, no, he hasn't gone down this track, but it's like you could make, like, the amount of films, like, because they've joked about it, it's like if you did an actual Punisher film or an actual Spider-Man film or an actual Black Widow film, You can make it X-rated because hello. But anyways, because there is sex appeal, and I know that might sound a little dirty and gross, but it's like, hey, I didn't write the stories. That's just that's how it is, you know. Dig on this. Um, but where I didn't like it and where I was like, oh, it kind of fits right into the norm is just like how Guardians 3 was with Peter and Gamora, where it's like, nope, we gotta emasculate the male role. He can't have any love interest. He needs to feel like a piece of shit. Like, if the motivation was from that point of view, I think it's horseshit. Like, because no, I didn't like how Peter and Gamora did not get back together. I didn't like that. Like, I thought they should have gotten back together. Um, like I know there's that the dig of I bet we were fun. It's like, Urgh. But like it at the time, and with where storytelling was in 2023, with pop culture and the MCU and everything, like it fit right in. And it's like, well, okay, because again, that's how they were writing films at that time. And like I've talked about it in a stream before, like there's this thing called an intimacy coordinator where the second you notice it, you can't unnotice it. Is people don't they don't kiss anymore on screen. Some movies they do. I mean, like with this one, for hell's sakes, yeah, no, they do kiss. They kiss right there on they kiss there on the roof, but they do this little the head the head tilt when they touch foreheads and stuff. Which what it, it's something where like no affection can be shown. Like the male character cannot have a love interest, and it's someone somewhere found like the text deep within. Well, these are how our movies are going to be made it because there's a whole which they were talking about. One complaint I saw with this, with like female empowerment complaint about like how Peter later in the film had to bring up to MJ, hey, by the way, when she kissed me, I didn't know it was you. I just thought I'd let you know. Like people looked at that scene and they're like, yeah, that's such a feminist, approach with them having to bring it up. Do I think it was distracting? No. Do I think it should have been brought up? Also, no, because it's kind of like, hey, by the way, you just crushed my fucking heart because I kissed you and I thought I was kissing you, but I was actually kissing you while you were possessed by Jean Grey. And then half hour ago, you read my letter. You told me you didn't love me. I broke I poured my heart and soul out to you, and you told me I don't know. Like it's like in the real world, no one would bring that shit back up. But again, this isn't the real world. This is a Spider-Man film. Like from that approach, it kind of made no sense. Same with when you want to look at it from that approach too. Like if MJ doesn't like Peter, she wouldn't have invited him upstairs to talk to Ned, and for them to build Legos, and for him to be like, "Man, this is the most fun I've had in years." You know when that scene should have happened? That scene should have happened a little bit after the party, but then before the love letter. Does that make sense? Like when he comes to rescue MJ and he's like, "You need to come with me. You're not safe." That's when that scene should have happened. Like he's like, "You need to come with me. You're not safe. Like we gotta go." And then you can like, bounce it off as like a comedic. Like you have Ned walk in and he's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And then he's like, and then it like just kind of like cuts to them building Legos or something. Like you can roll it off as a joke. I don't know. I don't know. Like the pacing, the whiplash of that was whatever. Or like for example, after they're chilling in the apartment, they get off the FaceTime call because he realizes, oh, the dude is lying to me. Jean Grey's sister, like Jean's not lying. Like we got to go get her. and like him figuring out, and then all of a sudden like MJ cares and she's like, be safe or whatever. It's like, okay, whatever. But no, this I didn't think it was too, like, it makes sense. It makes sense. And but back to square one with the whole, because in my prediction stream, when we were talking about like the love interest between Peter and MJ, my prediction was that it was something along the lines of, just with how writing is nowadays, they wouldn't give Peter a love interest. But like, having now watched the film, it kind of makes sense why. It makes sense, and like, there's kind of a bigger payoff with them not ending up back together versus with how we are nowadays with writing male figures and how they can't have love interest. That's why, like, there was a decent payoff, and there's a little bit more emotion again with this. And I I didn't like, here's the other thing too that I thought was super silly, um with the whole coffee cup and the note, because that's the other thing too, is Gene gets into Gene gets into his apartment, and like, she's going through his apartment looking at shit and pulling the note. And again, like that note where she's like, hey, maybe you should write a note about yourself because you're starting to forget yourself. That could be a cool concept that they can continue to dive into, that they kind of touched on briefly but then didn't go anywhere with it, where yeah, his arachnid DNA and his arachnid emotions like overtaking him so much to the point where, yeah, when he morphs into man spider, he doesn't morph back. Like, it's kind of like, because it became a through storytelling. Because again, here we go into storytelling again, where holy shit, they used to have storytellers 10 years ago, but now we can't even buy one for a decent price, and we can't even find one if we looked hard enough, because we got to give casting directors, screenplay writers to people who don't deserve it. But it's like the Hulk, the freaking story arc of the Hulk in the MCU now. But what it used to be is he would Hulk out, because it was a point of conversation, whether in Ultron, in whether it was Ultron or also Thor Ragnarok, where he hulks out and then he doesn't come out of that trance for days and days. And then it takes either Black Widow to calm him down, or it takes Thor to punch him super good, because that's eventually how he comes out of it, in Ragnarok. But it's like, you could deal with, you could deal with those kind of storytelling of like, yeah, no, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man never morphed into Man Spider, and neither did Toby's. Like, they stayed away from it. Only one of them had a kind of Venom symbiote. But it's like, you could totally, like, that could be one, with also working with the Avengers and Stark and all the other, like, connection plot points. That could be another one that makes Tom Holland's Spider-Man just that much different, is his morphs. And he has different, because if they introduce Miles Morales, he's gonna have to have more spider abilities, because with just his webs, and then Miles Morales has the disappearing factor, with invisibility and shocking. It's like, what do you have? All you got is webs. Yeah, so that's that's just my point. But back to the whole letter. She finds the letter. She throws herself off the building as MJ. He catches her. This dude, because she's in a car, um, pulls up, and this dude hands him the letter back, and like, he holds on to the letter. Like, I think the letter, just like the suppressor thing, got so much to the point of a MacGuffin, where it's like, yeah, if you only bring one thing with you through the whole duration of the movie, and it's that effing letter, yeah, she's gonna find it, because you didn't store it away, you didn't keep it hidden, you just left it out there for her to go find. And from a storytelling point, it kind of felt forced. It felt very forced on, okay, we need to talk about this right now, versus you could have a scene where it would come organically when he's fixing his mask and he does has his mask off, but then he puts his mask back on when um MJ comes around. That if it came up in conversation then, that would have been more natural versus him coming back and her sitting there like a disappointed wife after, okay, you went to the casino, you stayed out a little later than you needed to, you thought a couple parlays would hit, and it's 2 a.m. and she's like, what's this right here? Versus that, because it was very tone, like it was a tone shift. Another comparison I could think of is in the Michael Jackson movie when there's all this music going and then he closes his fridge and then boom, his dad's right there just staring at you're going to fire me? Your own blood? So, I don't know, just the conversation needed to happen and I liked that it happened because it touched on the emotional beats and like there was more genuineness in it and that's the other thing like with them. Oh, of course they wouldn't give the male character a love interest. There's explanation behind it, like she's talking like, I don't remember you, and it's like that makes more sense and there's more like actual what's the term, what's like believability versus nope. Nowadays that's just, we have a strong woman lead, she can be Miss Independent, she don't need no love interest. They actually had reason instead of using that as an excuse. So I was fine with it. Other than that, yeah, conversation was it could have happened a little smoother, but I'm fine with it. And then freaking the oh hey, by the way, I don't have my phone. Can you swing me back home? I would have. Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh fuck you, go walk. No. All right. Now for the worst kept secret in this whole movie, and this should surprise absolutely nobody. Uh, Sadie Sink's character is Jean Grey. Spoilers. This surprise absolutely. Drum roll, please. Brrr, nobody, because people saw it coming from a mile away. Um, I don't know whether I was lied to, um, but what I saw, and maybe I was it Chris Gore. It was probably Chris Gore with Film Threat. It was either Film Threat or it was as. But the thing that they talked about is so Jean Grey and Cyclops in the comics have kids. And so I thought that's who I thought she was. And like in my theory video and my prediction video, that is what I brought up is it's like I've heard which character she is, but I'm not going to spoil it because I watched their review in like a live stream when they were talking about it. And so I was like, "Oh, that would make sense." Where again, people through the trailers and with prediction videos from day one they said she's Jean Grey. She's Jean Grey. From day one, that's what she was saying. But I noticed that nobody sent any, hey, don't be spoiling this. Nobody, took any videos down or gave anybody strikes. And like when I watched that video, it's like, oh, that makes sense on why they didn't, because everybody's thinking, oh, it's Jean Grey, versus in reality, oh, it's actually Jean Grey's daughter. And so that's why, like, and so hearing that through the stream, I was like, oh, I can see how that's a little bit of a misdirection where it's like, yeah, they can think it that's who it is, but it's not who it is, and so they don't care. But then finding out that it was actually Jean Grey, I was like, no, okay. But it's like, we already knew this. Like, cool. This doesn't shock anybody. This doesn't surprise anybody. Because we've been predicting it since day one. All right. All right. Here we go. Mic check. Mic check. All right. All right. So, but I think Sadie Sink did a good job with the character of Jean Grey. I think she's a good actress. I liked her in Stranger Things, obviously, duh. I thought she was fine in The Whale. I think she was fine in this. Um, I don't think, truthfully, I think they cast her, yes, because she's a redhead. Like, I will say that. Because that was another argument that I saw through the nerd culture in the hemisphere of like they casted her because she was popular at the time. And like that was one of the big arguments that people were making on if they casted her just for popularity reasons, then they're already off to a bad start because it's like you could have cast someone else that was much more qualified, but you wanted that younger audience, that Gen Z, the TikTok, like, oh, we love her from Stranger Things. Let's have the Stranger Thing fans on board. When it's like you could make a totally like look at it from the approach of Indy Neverett with Obsession. Like like I didn't know her from any other movies other than Obsession, and so like, and now she's gonna be Rogue. So it's like, wow, all right, that's pretty impressive. Um, so that did big numbers for her. Which we could also, I mean, we could touch up on the X-Men cast if we want to. Let's touch up on the X-Men cast. Let's touch up on the X-Men cast later in the stream because I do have some reactions to the X-Men cast. Which, hey, spoiler alert, there's gonna be X-Men now in the MCU, which wouldn't be a spoiler if you've been watching stuff and known, yeah, they've talked about having the X-Men for a while. All right, now with this next photo. This next photo is the clearest photo I could find, even though it's blurry as hell. But this scene here is which actually, now let me, hold on. I gotta do something real quick. Let me look at one. Oh, I missed a couple. Okay, we gotta move. We gotta move this up. We gotta move this up. What am I doing? Such a freaking rookie. Okay. All right, back to it. All right, here we go. All right, my bad. All right, let's get into it. Okay. Spoiling it. Okay, spoiler warning. Okay. So now we come to this scene. All right, so once this scene is going on, here's something that I didn't understand too. Just with the pacing and where we were at storytelling now. At this point of view, Jean Grey has half of Manhattan like stuck and frozen in a trance. But within the same prison confines, at the Department of Defense building, which they are in, they're not frozen, which kind of made me go, huh? How the hell are they not frozen? But the rest of her, like, splash radius with, like, the mind control, everybody else is frozen, but these guys aren't. It's like, huh? But, like, you see through, like, the monologuing, she's talking to him through the hand. Because, like, Peter's trying to explain. And again, like how I was talking about earlier in the stream, where it's like, ooh, now you can tell they're into Act 2. And, oh, now you can tell they're going into Act 3. Like, when he's swinging and they're, like, on the phone, or you can even go before that with like him swinging back and then him talking to MJ and her being like, I don't love you, and like that could be the start of Act 3. But if not that, then definitely when he's heading over to the building and talking to Frank on the phone, it's like, oh, I can tell this movie's got 30 more minutes, or oh, we're in the closing act, because like just with the pacing of the film, it's like, where the hell's the movie gonna go from here? Like, you can tell the movie's wrapping up, which the pacing wise in that aspect, I think it was all right. It wasn't crazy, but it was all right. All right, now here we go. I thought this was super cool. His spider powers of like him like crossing the webs and like making the spider web tornado was super cool. Because that was something that was talked about. People talked about how there were a lot of moves, and they said if you're a fan of the Spider-Man video games, you're going to love this movie. I personally have not played the Insomniac games, but the only Spider-Man move I know was the one when he's fighting Scorpion in this one, and he's talking about like what's going on with me. I can't control my powers, and like he jumps up and then like webs down. That's the only like finishing move that I know from the Spider-Man video games is like using the webs to like attack. But like in the opening scene when he's like swinging in and like he does like a sideways spin and like shoots his webs like that's a move in the Insomniac games. But again, I haven't played the game, so I don't know any of it. But I thought this scene was super cool. Him webbing them all up because he was neutralized for the entire movie. He made the thing on the back of his neck to kind of like keep the arachnid um, DNA at bay. And what I liked with this, and I think, because again, you would have had to edit it and make it different. Because again, when I was talking about like him morphing into Man Spider at this film, and then you realizing, oh, all those dream sequences and nightmares, it was actually him, but in his subconscious. But he couldn't control it, just like how the Hulk, Bruce Banner can't control when he's the Hulk. That's what this scene could have been. Is he stabilizes himself so he doesn't have, and he realizes, oh, the nightmares are going away, But then like him taking it off, like I liked that. That was kind of cool. But like, Jean Grey asking him, are you Spider-Man or are you Peter Parker? Then he's like, I'm both. Thought that was pretty badass. Him catching the sword was cool. Um, Him fighting the hand the second time was cool. Like I thought they had a much better use now versus at the beginning of the film when it just shows them in that like one montage and it's like really. Um, what else? Also thought their shoes were kind of funny where it's like look at this toe, just like a camel hoof. Look at that. What was I thinking of? But like you could have had, yeah, just it, yeah, yeah. Him catching the blade. Um, I do, which I had a feeling. I also had a feeling too, like the hand working against Spider-Man, Spider-Man fighting the Hulk, being mind controlled. It's like that's very easy to predict. And I kind of had a hunch that that's how it would go. I thought. Now I will say this: the term that they used where all the hand needed was a leader. All the hand needed was a big brother or a big sister to tell him what to do. I thought that was kind of weak storytelling point where it's like, really, you could have this like to compare it to, I know because they're ninjas and like the Foot Clan with TMNT, but it's like they can be their own. They can be their own group. They don't need a leader. You know what I mean? And like I don't, I don't know, but it's a cool scene. All right, now let's get to the saving scene because from here on out, we're gonna get into um kind of spoilers, the big climax of what this film was because this, for lack of a better term, kind of was the climax of the film, even though there was kind of, and this is what's kind of disappointing with the ending of this film, but not really, is like Jean Grey is so powerful that no, Spider-Man cannot beat her. So it's like, and I predicted this where it's like, oh, who's gonna beat Jean Grey? Jean Grey, where she's gonna find it within herself, that she's misunderstood, she's the misunderstood female character, and it's like, wow, where have I seen this trope before? Which, like, I'm not like some people that look at that and just go, feminist bullshit, but it, it's predictable. It's predictable. Like, is it too hard? Because like we're seeing the new trailers with Doctor Doom, and people are assuming that the Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange are gonna fight by his sides. Hey, can we? I mean, with Thanos' Dark Order, Proxima Midnight, she was bad, and like she wasn't misunderstood, or like we had a genuinely female character that was evil, and it's like, see, it can be written and it can be done. If you want to make Jean Grey evil, it can be written and it can be done. She doesn't need to just be so misunderstood. Which, yeah, I get it. Like, for, like it showed the flashback of her sister getting taken, which that's another reason why I thought it was like because I believe in the comics. Again, I'm not a comic book reader. I don't have the money or the time to read comics, so I listen to other people, and I also watch for example, let me show you the Explained series, like where if you want to watch like Infinity Gauntlet Explained or something like that. What's the channel? Like Comics Explained and like Marvel Entertainment and stuff, and like Cosmetarian and like Watch Mojo a little bit, like the channels that go over like and do reviews for like, hey, look at this, like that's where I watch the story, and like that's how I know. Oh, I've shown you. Excuse me, it cut it out. It cut it out, but I was showing my phone. Um, the like that's how I know that the spider, like the Venom symbiote, is on Spider-Man in Secret War, like that, like those kind of little things. So in the comics, I believe like there is Jean Grey and Cyclops. They have daughters, and so that's another reason why I thought that that's who Sadie Sink's character was. Because the other thing that did get spoiled to me, but I didn't understand the context of it, is the sister. Because that got spoiled. That got spoiled a little after the movie came out. Of how, yeah, Jean Grey has a sister, and then it's like, oh, and so when there was like that vault, I was like, oh, the sister's in there. She wasn't. And like the whole VMAX thing, like, um, it is what it is. Um, I just kind of knowing that spoiler didn't ruin the film. It didn't No, it didn't ruin the film, but like there just kind of was easy to predict in the ways of, you just look at the levels of power that like the characters have. Punisher ain't taking her out. Spider-Man's not taking her out, and it's like we literally saw Fantastic Four, and like who defeated Galactus? Uh the Invisible Woman and the Silver Surfer, by pushing him back into, and it's like, huh? So who would have? And like with in they didn't did they defeat Sentry in like Thunderbolts? I don't even remember. All I know is that like there's a big group hug, and it's like, huh? So I wonder when they have to destabilize Jean Grey and beat her, I wonder who beats her. Oh, it's herself, because she like looks inward. It's like that was very predictable, and from that approach, that is what's selfish. Well, no, not selfish. That's what's kind of like infuriating and lazy from the storytelling point of view. And what would be selfish of me is that's where I've come up with a different ending. and this is my personal ending because I think it would be a cool construct, which we'll get to it. So, Punisher's setting up, he shoots. There's a cool scene between them because it was kind of established at the beginning of the film too that Jean tries to like manipulate and jump into Peter's mind, but she can't. And so she's like, "I got nobody." Then he's like, "You got me." Like that's cool. Like I like it from that point of view of like, you know what, shit. If Spider-Man and Jean Grey have a love interest, I'm fine with that. Like, because there's something where like storytelling in that aspect of like, because people have already started to theorize that, which whatever. But the and so him making that sacrifice play and jumping in front of the bullet, this is where I think, and this would have been my this is where I would have deferred the storytelling a little bit is okay, she's on the run now. Why do I have a photo of Thor here? Because in the trailer, I'm gonna kind of speak quick, and it should make sense, but it doesn't make sense at the same time. But it kind of makes sense in my brain when I was kind of talking about it. And here's the approach that I have is so Peter gets shot, but he ends up surviving anyways. But Peter gets shot and he sacrifices himself for Jean and he saves Jean and then he ends up in the hospital and stuff. What I would have done and stuff is if you wanted to, and this is where I would have changed it, Peter dies. Like that is how I would have changed this because here's the thing that I'm starting to notice, and it's an old trope in X-Men movies of oh mutants are dangerous, this and that, the allegories and whatnot behind everything. In the Doomsday trailer, something that is talked about is, I've fought much greater villains that haven't scared me as much as this, and like the theory that people are going behind is they are theorizing that Thor is talking about the mutants and the X-Men, and he's not actually talking about Doom, because the theory and the prediction is that Doom's going to be in the room when he's talking about that, which I don't think he is. I don't think Doom's going to be in the room at all. I think it's going to be the X-Men, because in the MCU, technically, no. The mutants haven't been shown, and, like, the mutants are, like, underground, and, like, which is so funny is because it's like, no, Peter Parker isn't a mutant, but he like it's kind of like he's a superhero, but he's not a mutant. Like there's just so many different like because there's like different tiers of like superpowers and stuff. But the point of view and the concept that I'm trying to portray here, and like the if if you want to run at it from this approach is if you want to kind of turn the regular folks in the MCU and turn regular people and the humans and even the Avengers and yeah, oh hell yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it off the dome, turn the Avengers against the X-Men, not only with Thor's little chain of like, there I've fought greater things that haven't scared me as much as this. But you could literally plaster it on the wall and you could have a montage that opens the Doom film, even though Spider-Man Brand New Day was supposed to come out after Doomsday. But what it is Peter dies because he gets shot by the Punisher, but then the Punisher, when the Punisher comes out, he poses it on Jean Grey, and he's like, "No, Jean killed him." And so then there's that fugitive on the run kind of aspect where she's wanted and mutants are getting hunted, which okay, that's not like the first time anybody's ever thought of that. The storyline of oh, mutants are on the run. What the hell is, the movie Logan about? Oh, exactly that, he's on the run, trying to gather the mutants and keep them hidden and stuff because they're getting hunted. And so if you do like the news outlet, kind of like how Far From Home ended into No Way Home, where like there's that news segment of like, oh, Spider-Man wanted, his identity is Peter Parker. Peter Parker, and like you have that kind of like hysteria from the people and freaking out. That's what the the ending of this film into future Spider-Man projects or future Marvel projects could have portrayed is it show like with an end credit scene, it could show like Thor watching watching the TV, or it could show like if you want to show Yelena one more time, it could show Yelena, it could show Thor looking at the TV, it could show Captain America looking at the TV. Somebody from Doomsday, but it's convincing enough where it shows, recent reports show, that the death of Spider-Man has been confirmed at the hands of Jean Grey, and that would show up a photo. Like, for example, the end, one of the end credit scenes in the Venom movies when it shows Spider-Man like on the TV, then Venom's like licking the TV, like, "Ooh, I can't wait till we go there." Have it be that kind of scene with somebody that's from Doomsday, like actually seeing, like, "Oh shit!" Like the X-Men are legit. Like this one just took out Peter Parker, and that could be a portraying like theme or like a plot point leading into Doomsday of like reason to explain why we don't like the X-Men. They, not us, because us as the fans, we know the X-Men, we know. But them as the Avengers not knowing like, oh, what is this force that like kind of like with Peter going and visiting Yelena, like, oh, I'm seeing these people like getting body snatched and like they're being controlled. Like, what the hell is like us as the fans as we're watching? It's like we know exactly what the hell it is. But, like the characters haven't seen it before, so it makes no sense to them. Like I think that could have been portrayed a lot better. Of it showing like, okay, mutants are dangerous, they should not be trusted, and then bam, just plasters it all, and like that convinces Thor to be like, oh shit, okay, let's take out some mutants, which could lead to them fighting. I don't know. This is how I would have ended the film, because now having watched it twice, I'm like, ooh, there are a couple things I would have fixed on that ending. Because the other thing too that shows the end credit where like it shows the, hey, new Spidey located, and it shows space after, because who I think that Spidey is that's out in space, I think it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, because if the leaks are real that have been kind of rumored, is that um Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man universe gets destroyed from an incursion. And you know what? If he dies and his planet explodes and his universe explodes with an incursion, and he's just floating out in the nothing and in the void of space, oh, look at that. A Venom symbiote finds him as he's floating out in space doing absolutely jack shit, and then boom, he turns into Spider-Man with the. Or I've seen other theories where people think it's Miles Morales glitching out, which I'd be fine with that too. Because I think Miles Morales is going to be in the next Spider-Man film. I think him. I also think Ned is going to turn into Hobgoblin. I'm still hammering that. Just considering, like they've just teased at it. They've teased at it so much. They even were teasing. Because that was the other thing too that I'm kind of like not surprised with, but like people were talking about like Mr. Negative being the villain for this new Spider-Man film, but then it ended up being Jean Grey. So it's kind of like, do I think they would go the Mr. Negative direction? No, but like you could have Ned turn into Hobgoblin, still on the table. um, what else? What else? But that's anyways. That's just something that I thought would have been cool. The other thing, I've seen this all over on um, YouTube Shorts and stuff. I think this would have been a cool scene. This is not a real photo. This is a Photoshop photo or an AI photo. Like people talk about how like, AI is a problem. This kind of AI, I'm fine with. Like Val Kilmer, there's a Val Kilmer movie that's coming out that has his AI on it, and like I think the CGI of like Carrie Fisher in Rogue One was good. Um, but like if this scene happened at the end of the film, I thought that would have been cool. That would have been real cool. Um, and kind of like an appropriate like yeah, have someone go be a stand-in, CGI the face. I think it would have been cool. Um, I did like the art piece. Um, we did have Hulk versus Spidey um, with swinging metrics. I mean, I thought the swinging was pretty cool. Um, like there are a lot of scenes where he was swinging. I thought some of the swinging scenes were better than the first three films, or at least the first two. I still think the best swinging scenes are in TASM. I mean, like, come on, like there was, and like it now this compared to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Obviously this is so much more, but that is CGI of like early 2000s versus 2026. Like, so yeah, this CGI should look a lot better. There were a couple things that like looked super rubbery, um, like how he'd shoot up in the air and then he'd like bounce out of the screen like this, and it kind of like looked really, it looked weird. It did look like he was pasted on. Um, like I've kind of like rewatched some TASM clips, and it's like, oh yeah, dude, this was so freaking goated. Even though people hate that movie and clowned on it. But all right, people on the shorts end, we're gonna end the stream. We're gonna do a heart out here. Thank y'all for hanging out. We're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up the stream here, um, with giving some closing thoughts. But I thank y'all for hanging out. Yeah, look at us, dude. We've been streaming for hour hour 30, hour 30, almost almost 2 hours, almost 2 hours. We can. Oh, hour 50. My bad. Almost 2 hour stream. We can get there. Um, but no, I think um yeah, I liked the Hulk being in it. I liked the Punisher being in it. Um, I liked how he has like kind of new powers. I like how he has organic webs now, because I've always been on the organic web train. Like, because considering that, okay, what's the first Spider-Man film you watch? Oh, it's Tobey Maguire's. Oh, what are Tobey Maguire's? What's his Peter Parker's webs? Oh, they're natural, organic, and then you have Andrew Garfield's with the web shooters, which I think actually let's double check right now. Um, oh, it was natural webs. Okay. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Never mind. I'm full of shit. Um, in the history of Spider-Man, mechanical web shooters came first in the '62 comic debut, while natural organic webs didn't appear on screen until 2000. Whoops, whoops, whoops. So they've always been web shooters. Okay, my bad. Really? Has it always? It's always been web shooters. Has it always been web shooters? Well, okay. Here's another thing, and this is again, this is a very little gripe, very little gripe, and I talked about it when I went over it in the trailer. Okay, can you see? No, you can't. Let me scoot this screen over just a titch, just a titch. All perfect. But now we gotta get go web go. Fly. Okay. All right. So we're gonna show this, and then we're gonna show this. And this again, this is my own personal preference. Not saying what's better, what's worse. The thing that bugged me a little bit is the like because like when it shows him on the phone, and I talked about it in the trailer because it bugged me a little bit, and I was like, oh, they'll probably touch up on it a little, but they didn't because it's the exact same. Is he goes from the back and then he just pulls the mask over, and then it just and like to me, it's kind of like the nanotech and the Ant-Man suit and the Iron Man suit that people eventually got tired of like the mask just fitting to the face and just appearing out of nowhere. As cool as the scene is that shows him running and then he puts on the mask, that scene's cool as hell. I'm not gonna, discredit that scene at all. But what I think would have been a lot more not convince at least do it once to show versus okay he just spawned his mask on is show him tuck it in to the neck collar because in Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's it shows him like pulling the mask all the way down, like it shows the mask all beaten up and torn up, like it shows his suit torn up in different variations um because like and again it's the little things of like him putting the mask on like if you just put it on naturally there would be an overlay and stuff like I mean look at freaking when okay let me show you a picture here real quick. Where is oh gosh there's a I'm thinking of when D23 just happened yes when he was at D23 like when he takes the Deadpool mask off it like hangs in the front and stuff. Let me find that behind the scenes. Okay, right here. Boom. If it would have shown oh my gosh, I would have been totally fine with this. And again, this comes from like show a little bit of like if there were scenes where it showed Peter with the mask like this, like it just hanging off for a second, but then he puts it on and like tucks it in just like once, it would have immersed it just a little bit. Now that like that is like the most minute, like little tiny detail of like instead of just like, hey, we're in Quantumania, and I went like this, and then boop, my suit's on. Like it just the immersion into it. It's a little tiny thing. Um, here is like even and I was fine with it even though people were clowning on it. Like this scene, like him suiting up in the Homecoming series where he puts it all on but then he presses the button and it like suctions to him. I thought that was fine. I actually liked it because there was a little bit of realism to it where it's like, oh, okay. There's some stretch to the costume and so like I didn't mind it personally. Um what else? What else? Those are just little minor gripes. Um oh, here's the photo. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Look at this. See how the mask like hangs off the front of his. If they just had one of those scenes that establish like, okay, like when he rolls his mask up, like when he was drinking the coffee and he's like, "Sorry, Frank, it's nothing personal." And he's like, "What about her?" Then he's like, like I liked that. Like when it shows that his mask is like half up and he's like eating a sandwich or something. Like it shows the, okay, we don't have a CGI mask practical. Like I like that. And I also liked it um when the Hulk is choking him, but you can see his eyes through the lens. I like that. And but I did like how like in some scenes, if you looked really hard, and it kind of got distracting my second time watching it. Some scenes, if you looked really hard into the eyes, you could see his eyes through the mask, versus other times when you couldn't. There was parts of me where I liked that element. Um, what else? Oh, gosh, already talked about Hulk. I liked Hulk. Um, yeah, I like this. Like I like this. Anything else? I think that's it. Honestly, I think that's it. Like I know it sounds like I'm not trying to drag this movie down too much. Like this is one of the best Spider-Man films. Um, I still think No Way Home is yeah, No Way Home. It's just a little bit better. Like 1A, 1B. You know, is it better than Spider-Man 3? Yes. Is it better than TASM 2? Yes. Is it better than TASM 1? From recent memory. I mean, just going off the cuff, yes. Um, but yeah, I liked it. It was fine. What else? What else? What else? Other than that, I liked how the Hulk was. Yeah, you know, Hulk had a scene or two, which I knew it was only going to be one scene. I knew that. Um, Again, if they would have, because I've kind of given my thoughts on how I think Civil War should have ended, how I think they could have done a different, because there's just so many different, like the comic books are there, dude. Where just follow the blueprint of the comics, and you could have had such a better, you know, film. And the MCU would not be where it is now if they would have just followed the comic books. Because like you could have done a Civil War too. You could have done like you could have introduced the mutants so much sooner. Which actually, give me 2 seconds. I will be. Give me 2 seconds. I will be right back. I'll be right back. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. Give me a second. All right, my B. Um, Nature calling. My body's like, no, you need to go to the bathroom right now. Um, but the just with the amount of Marvel movies that have come out and the thousands and thousands of comics, um, like like the like I've talked about it. I've talked about it a handful of times. Like just the comic books of like you could have had like from the approach of just storytelling. Civil War could have ended with, okay, I'm gonna turn myself in, and then Cap gets shot. Which I mean, I have two nickels considering that I thought, hey, Spidey getting shot could have led to them framing Jean Grey as, hey, mutants are evil. Which it's funny that it happened twice, right? Yeah, like you could have, yeah, and like you take him back to Wakanda, and then Black Panther saves him because yeah. There's just so much, man. What's another one? What's another one? Yeah, dude, they just don't. Hmm. Don't get me wrong. Like, oh wait, this was Crossbones, yeah. Because for a second, I was actually thinking, I was like, we've already had a Punisher. No, it was Crossbones. My bad. My B. But like, just they don't. Oh my gosh, that's a cool photo. That's a badass photo. They don't make. This is kind of funny. This is super funny. Cause yeah, no, it's true. The airport scene was a lot of CGI stuff around. No, they don't make Marvel movies like this anymore. They don't. And like with them talking about all the homework, quote unquote homework, I need to do to watch Doomsday, it's like, fuck no. It's like, no. No. I'm not watching this shit to understand Doomsday. Hmm. But like, yeah, you could have had this scene. This could have been one of Tony's realizations of like, oh shit, maybe I'm wrong. Like, yeah, it would have been crazy. Um, but yeah, yeah, that's how. If you're new to the stream, if you're tuning in, that's the difference, and that's the direction I would have went. Um, is the Punisher would have framed Jean Grey, even though he's like, oh damn, I'm the one that shot him actually. Um, I have not watched this trailer yet, and I'm not gonna watch it because they're gonna copyright claim me. We'll have to watch this trailer later. We'll have to watch it at another time. Okay, let's talk about the X-Men cast, and then we will end the stream. Okay, so I heard through the grapevine, this is a different Adam Driver. What Mr. Adam Driver, Mr. Sinister. All right, all right. Um, is I've heard I've heard Mr. Sinister is a different type of Magneto variant. That's what I've heard, which it's like, okay. Like this is just me. Like I'm fine with them bringing back Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. Like I I'd be on board with them bringing Fassbender back. Like if they brought back Michael Fassbender and oh my gosh, McAvoy. Like I think that would have been sick. Um, because it's like who if the like just looking at this cast. Oh, hello. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit because I don't think YouTube's gonna like that. Who who would who would like yeah, and have Jennifer Lawrence come back as Mystique? Who would say no to that? Who would look at that cast and go, nope, nope, they can't be in the MCU? Like, are you kidding me? Like, it'd be awesome. Um, like I think, like, because the amount of times that they've brought back Hugh Jackman to be Wolverine, they can definitely bring these two back to be Professor X and Magneto. Like, it's possible. Um, so now with that being said, because yeah, Adam Driver's going to be Mr. Sinister. Let's look at the new cast and all the people that were cast in the new upcoming X-Men film. Okay. Um the only one that I know of, this one, yes, here it is. Here it is. We'll see about him as Cyclops. You know who I think would have been a fine Cyclops, and I know it's kind of like really um the dude who they cast as Adam Warlock. Um, who else? Because I will admit, they're kind of diving into, because this is something that I've talked about before, where it's like, can we get new actors, new actresses instead of just recycling the old same? Like, don't know anything she's been in, don't know anything he's been in, don't know anything she's been in, don't know anything he's been in. Just learned of her, so it's like all things considered, like excluding Sadie Sink, it's like this is a new cast where it's like, all right, let's see what they're made of. But like, of course, we know about Adam Driver. Like he's not a shock there. But like, we'll see about him as Cyclops, and like everybody, like I think she's fine as Storm. I think like I've seen people kind of like how they were with Black Panther, like they were complaining, oh, she's not black enough, and it's like, oh, okay. Oh, we're really stretching there. Like, you know, what who did they want to cast as Black Panther? Ryan Reynolds? Like, come on now. Oh wait, no. Like I think it's fine. Um, now him as Professor X, I I've taken McAvoy, and that's not because it's just if you brought back the other two, you can bring back the other two. Like that's just me. Now with Indy Grant. I think now, and this is just my personal opinion, because it's kind of hearing this has kind of made me go, huh, Now, hear me out when I say this. The reason why I go, is Obsession was really good. It was a good film, of which this meme where people are like me trying to, me going to casting calls to try to be Gambit. Because do I think they're gonna bring um Channing Tatum back to be Gambit? Yes. Which again, they brought him back to be Gambit. Why can't you bring back Fassbender to be Bang? I digress. But there's parts of me that think they would. Because this is what I have heard. Here's some of the old X-Men cast. Is they're bringing back everybody, and here's the spoiler, which is like, wow, spoiler. Who would have thought that? You know, of the countless many movies they've done and the amount of rebrands. Um, the Now I'm getting freaking tired. Sorry, but it's like, oh, they explode everybody, they kill everybody off, all the dimensions explode so that they can have a reboot and like cast new X-Men and stuff. And it's like that shocks nobody because it's like that's literally what they've done in every single movie before. You know what I mean? Where we have to go back in time, or we have two different timelines of X-Men movies. You know. So, but back to this. There's parts of me where I have a feeling they've had this cast for a while. Um, and so it makes me go, so was the hype around Obsession natural, or was it kind of like farmed out so that people would know of Indy as an actress, so that when the Rogue casting came, people wouldn't be as surprised? Because there's parts of me like with Obsession coming out. When did Obsession come out? Let's see when Obsession came out. Obsession came out in May. Okay, June, July, August. 3 months. They didn't come up with this decision in 3 months. They haven't been sitting. They haven't been sitting on this for 3 months. They've been sitting on this for over a year because they would have cast because and again, like I'm not trying to mean this like in a rude way, like because again, we have seen fan castings of everything, everybody, everywhere. Like when Last of Us season 2 was coming out, like they were talking about Bella Ramsey being in the X-Men and like her being rumored to play, and so it's like them coming up with Indy like within the last 3 months. No, I I would disagree. I think they've been sitting on Adam Driver being the dude for the last year, but they've had to like keep it under wraps. Like even throwing it back to, I mean, for example, um Gosling being Ghost Rider. Okay, like pe- people have joked, which I, because he talked about it at Comic Con. He's like, "This has been a role I've wanted to play my whole life," and it's like, okay, yeah, whatever. You're building it up for the fans, but then like looking at the digital footprint of like, oh shit, yeah, he's been calling his shot for handful. Like I think the first one was in like 2020 or 2022. Him calling his shot on wanting to be Ghost Rider. Like there's parts of me where I'd kind of compare it to the same of, Adam Driver as Sinister is they've wanted it, but they've had to keep it under wraps so much because it's like there's other things like them bringing back. I mean, shit, them bringing back like Andrew and Toby for Spider-Man. Like they probably knew about that 2 years in advance, maybe 3 years in advance. Where it's like, okay, second Far From Home release back in 2019. You know, we're already in pre-production for the next film. They knew for like 2 years. Like, okay, we're probably kind of like how I mean, shit. John Krasinski was rumored to be Mr. Fantastic all the way back in 2018, but then he didn't make his screen debut until 2022. So it's like the point I'm trying to make is they've probably had this cast, and they probably cast Freaky Nikki. They've probably had her cast as Rogue for a while, but they've just waited for the right moment. Um, so I'm fine with the casting. I think it looks fine. Um, I'm also fine with Ryan Gosling being cast as the Ghost Rider. I think it'd be fun to have at least an interaction between him and a variant of Nick Cage's Ghost Rider. I think that'd be funny. Um, this one's definitely been in the works for a while. Um, let me think. Let me think. Because like for example with I mean, because with how much we keep up on Damn, that's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good. With how much we keep up on movies and we see when films go into production, because like it was announced like last week or something that they've officially started to film Secret Wars. Even though all of Doomsday has been spoiled online, which GTA 6 has also been spoiled online too, which is crazy. But there's parts of me that wonder, like maybe they wanted to bring back, like for example, with Downey Jr. taking the role of Doctor Doom instead of being in Nolan's Odyssey as Poseidon. There's parts of me where maybe there's a project that James McAvoy or Michael Fassbender are a part of in the upcoming years, where that's why they couldn't come back and be Professor X and Magneto, because maybe they're going to be in the new Harry Potter series or something like that. Because who is the new? Someone was just cast. Who was it? Who was just cast as Gilderoy Lockhart? It's rumored. Oh yes, Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult. If nobody knows who Nicholas Hoult is, yep. So I think it's fine. Like I thought he was fine as Lex Luthor. I also thought he was fine in Nosferatu. So yeah, you got a couple. Well, and who's the? There's Onslaught. So there's parts of me that think if they ever go the direction of Onslaught, maybe they'd bring Michael Fassbender back for this. I don't know. I know it's a stretch. I don't think they ever would. Or they could bring back Henry Cavill as Onslaught. I think that'd be badass. Because they were talking about Henry Cavill coming back as yeah, there it is. Yeah. They were talking about him coming back, which and again with that maybe that would work. I don't know. That looks fine. That damn. Yeah, give him the Witcher. give him give him his wig from the Witcher and then have him run at it. That'd be whoa. All right. Look at these creative fan casts here. Damn. That's actually a pretty badass poster. Because he was also rumored as Captain Britain like forever ago. But the he's doing Warhammer right now, I think. Let's see. Yeah, he's doing Warhammer. So it's gonna be freaking good. Warhammer's gonna be good. I'm confident. I'm confident in Warhammer. Um, but you could have um him as a like I thought it was fun. I thought it was freaking fun. Like him when he turned around and Deadpool was like, "We will treat you so much better than those shit fucks across the street." And he's like, "You were just leaving." And he's like, which matter of fact, oh, like if they wanted to reboot, because I think Hugh Jackman, you know, till he's 90, he's gonna play Wolverine till he's 90. Like that's fine. But like, I would not be upset or pissed if they brought him on board and he did. a Wolverine film. I wouldn't be upset at all. Like, I think it'd actually be pretty badass. Which, like, the freaking from just the montage of him jumping through the universes, looking at different Wolverines, like the amount of different Wolverine films you can make with like just variants of like you could have two you could have a Wolverine movie of like three Wolverines running around if you wanted to. Anyways, all right, now I've gotten distracted. What's another fan cast? Um, new cast. Um, Vision Quest. I think Vision Quest is going to be good. I think Vision Quest could have the potential to be good. Um, so, oh, here's those Sentinels that they were talking about. Which dude, they were freaking Sentinels in Days of Future Past. Yeah, so like we shouldn't be super surprised. Yeah, they look different. They look a little different, but yeah, we're about to have a point off here. Um, oh, see, look at the concepts that you could do with just this alone. And look at Spidey too. Like you could have, oh my gosh, the amount of movies like like I've already talked about it. Like this will be a movie one day. Spider-Geddon. They'll have or the Into the Spider-Verse. The scene where they're all chasing him. Like one day, not tomorrow, but I within the maybe 25 years. Within the next 25 years, there will be a scene where this is live action, and there are these many Spider-Mans running around chasing them. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's bound to happen. All right. Well, Spot. Or some other. Or some other. I think they could. I don't think they'd ever make a Sinister. Well, hold on. Hobgoblin here. They could make a Sinister Six film if they wanted to. Like, have this, but then, oh my gosh, it would have been so. Oh my gosh. Again, with the potential. The freaking. Oh my gosh, the freaking potential of Hob. Oh my gosh, it'd be sick. What the hell? Oh, this would be sick as hell. Have all three of them come back and fight all these guys. That'd be sick as hell. Oh, Momoa. Dude, Momoa would have made a good Craven. He would have. Maybe that's just lazy thinking of like, yeah, he would make a good. But like, I think he'd made a fine Aquaman, even though Aquaman's a blonde. Like, yeah, it's fine. What's this? Ooh, that looks pretty cool. Anyways. All right, people. All right, people. We are gonna end the stream here. Thank y'all for hanging out. I know it's a little bit of a hard out. I just we went over all the stuff we needed to with Spidey. Um, Giving my reactions and stuff. I think it was a fine film. I think it was fun. Definitely enjoyable. Um, would watch again. Would recommend. Go watch it. It's already earned. I mean, let's see how much money it's earned so far. Let's see how much money it's earned so far. Wow, look at that. 2 billion. 2.08. Nicely done. Oh, but guys, guys, we hate superhero movies. Oh yeah, dude, it slammed the Odyssey. Oh my gosh, it passed the Odyssey so quick. Well, and if I'm being honest, like the Odyssey, yeah, the Odyssey's at 1.3. um, yeah, I'm not surprised. No, because like the Odyssey, I'm not saying that the Odyssey is like an acquired taste, but the Odyssey versus a Spider-Man film, like, come on. So, all right. Anyways, guys, we're gonna end the stream here. We've been streaming for 2.5 hours. I thank y'all for hanging out. This was super fun. Um, I like this film. I like this film. I know I gave it some flack, and I was here, there. It's a good film. It's a good film. Uh, it yeah, there were a lot of relatable things about it. Um, and it's the unfortunate thing is, do I think this will make more money than Doom? Maybe, maybe. I'm surprised with how much money it's made in the first place. Um, I don't think Doom will make more money than Endgame. There's no way. There's no way it can. Because just like the hype I felt around this movie versus the hype for Doom, two different, two separate. And I just can't see, because people are like, oh, superhero movies are back, or oh, Marvel's back, and it's like they're not though. Like the like literally, I just talked about how there was a time when Marvel had three superhero movies all before August, you know, versus now where you'll be lucky if you get one TV show and a movie every single year. So, and that's just Marvel. That's not also to include like Sony's animation of Into the Spider-Verse, or Fox doing one with an X-Men movie coming out that year. Like literally that's what 2018, 2017, and 2019 were. They're just jam packed with X-Men movies and Spider-Man movies and Marvel movies, and it's like you can't get that now. You cannot buy that now. And that's where I think, along with Spider-Man, because Spider-Man definitely helped it, like I think movies are starting to come back in the way of, this has been a really good year for movies. It has, like Project Hail Mary, Super Mario Galaxy, Obsession, The Backrooms, The Odyssey, Spider-Man. I feel like I'm missing one. Yeah, but it is what it is. Versus other years where it's like, okay, how many good movies came out this year? Only Top Gun Maverick? Yeah. So, all right, people. We're going to end the stream here. Thank you all for hanging out. I'll check you in the next one.